Until recently, Ilya Shapiro was a lecturer at Georgetown Law, and one of the most prominent. Then he criticized Joe Biden's decision to nominate a Supreme Court justice on the basis of race, because race is irrelevant to judicial temperament, knowledge, experience, wisdom, etc. For saying that, Georgetown Law put Shapiro on leave. They announced a months-long investigation. Now, the probe ultimately cleared Shapiro on a technicality, but he says he's leaving the school anyway. We are honored to have Ilya Shapiro, formerly of Georgetown Law. He's the author of Supreme Disorder, Judicial Nominations, The Politics of America's Highest Court. Ilya Shapiro joins us. Thank you very much for coming on. A lot of people followed this outside the legal world, outside the world of Georgetown. Are we leaving anything out? Was your crime just pointing out that race is irrelevant to whether a judge is good or not?
Look, I had a tweet that I didn't phrase as well as I would have liked. I'm sure all of us are guilty of that at one time or another. My underlying point is exactly as you stated, and I think it was unreasonable or with bad faith to read it as being misogynistic or racist. It's ironic that I'm being criticized, that I was put under investigation for criticizing Joe Biden for applying a racial and gender-based test for his Supreme Court nominees. But here we are, and 4 months later, I was cleared on a technicality last week. It took them 4 months, the investigators at the diversity office and otherwise, to see that I was not an employee when I tweeted, and they cleared me on that, but insinuated that I or anybody else who said or wrote anything that would offend anyone would be creating a hostile educational establishment. And I could not work under that arrangement, and so I had to resign yesterday.
Well, you made the honorable decision, and I admire that. Working at Georgetown Law is considered a big deal. I think what's scary about the story is this didn't happen at Nike, right, or the NFL or something. This happened at Georgetown Law, where there are a lot of serious people. I know a lot of people who work there. Weren't they embarrassed to be investigating you for expressing an entirely mainstream and defensible position on Twitter?
I mean, I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but I think nationwide, and at Georgetown specifically, there are a lot of cowardly administrators who refuse to stand up to the activist, radical, woke mob who insists that there is no deviation from a progressive orthodoxy. I mean, contrary to the diversity, equity, inclusion offices that have proliferated throughout the land, they're discouraging intellectual diversity, preventing equal opportunity, and excluding any voices that would dissent from the prevailing view. So I've been really disappointed. I'm sad that this has all happened. I don't think I was naive, but I mean, it's really, really bad. If I don't think any faculty member, staff member, student at such an institution can really thrive because there's a sword of Damocles, and that's why I left. I could not stay at a place where if I'm commenting on a Supreme Court opinion or teaching a class and someone says they're uncomfortable or claims they're offended, and all of a sudden I'm back in the storm chamber.
Yeah, I mean that's the end of a great American institution after hundreds of years, and it's bigger even than your particular case. It says something really ominous, I think. And I appreciate you being willing to talk about it and the principled stand that you have taken.
And to let you know, Tucker, my next move, I'm now going to be the Director of Constitutional Studies at the Manhattan Institute, which is a wonderful organization based in New York. I'm going to stay in the D.C. area, in Northern Virginia, where I live. And they make a lot of great counterintuitive points on policy, and I'm delighted to expand their constitutional programming.
Well, amen.
Work with a lot of people who have been friends for a long time.
We'll see you again. Ilya Shapiro, thank you so much.
Thank you.